Hey, Brian Vaughn of the Vaughn McHenry team with Fairway Home Mortgage here. I'm going to talk quietly because my daughters are asleep in the room above me and I don't want to wake them up. But yeah, I want to talk about ChatGPT deep research. You might hear my dog chewing on a bone behind me. Anyway, ChatGPT deep research, which if that's a feature that you're not familiar with, I really encourage you to play around with it because I find it incredibly helpful. It's actually my favorite part of ChatGPT right now. I think it is something that ChatGPT does extremely well um, with what the current capabilities are of the software, of the technology. And so, what I want to talk about is I want to show you where to find it within ChatGPT, and then give you some examples of how to use it, and do like a side-by-side comparison of the same prompt run through just a normal ChatGPT chatbot versus deep research. So, in terms of where to find it, right here, if you are, here in terms of where to find it, if you're just here in the normal, query, in terms of, ChatGPT chat box, click on the plus sign, and down in here is where you're going to find the different modes. So deep research is what you would select to get that going. And so, when would you use deep research? Well, in cases in which there's like multiple factors, multiple angles, where you are trying to get like a comprehensive understanding of something that maybe has many layers. You're looking for a much more detailed understanding of something. And so here's an example I like to use. If you were just to say like what are Burlington home values in 2025, that is a search that you'd be totally fine just typing that into the normal ChatGPT search bar because it's just going to go to the internet. It's going to pull from a variety of sources and it's going to give you like a pretty decent answer. Um, But if instead, let's say you wanted to ask the question, okay, what about instead you ask the question, how have Burlington home values changed since 2020? And not only that, what were the major factors that influenced that? And then based off current trends, like where are they headed in 2026? Okay, now you've got multiple layers. And you could input into that into the standard chat GPT interface, and it's going to give you an answer, and it might be a decent answer. But deep research is going to do something just very different. And so I want to show you what that looks like. So here, I've typed this up here, and we're just going to have that go through to the normal ChatGPT interface and see what it pulls up here. Pull from a variety of sources, and it's like actually not a terrible answer, right? Here's a general sense from 2020 to now, 66% increase. Here's why they did that. Breaks in for da, 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 da. And where is this sending us for 2026? Yeah, cool. Okay, so that's like actually a pretty decent answer to that question. If instead, though, we go to ChatGPT Deep Research, the first thing that's going to happen when you input this, now let's see how this stacks up against Deep Research. And so one of the first things about Deep Research is it's going to receive it, and then it's usually going to ask some clarifying questions about what you want it to do. So here we go. It comes back asking me this here. And I really like this quality of deep research because a lot of times I'll be like doing something else, right? Like I'm washing the dishes or whatever, and I'm thinking about something and like, man, this would be like, I have like sort of a thought here, but I'm not even really sure what the question is that I have. So sometimes I'll just go and I'll like input that into deep research and I'll even ask it like, ask me the clarifying questions you need to be able to execute this well, and it comes back and gives me all these questions so that I can really hone in for myself. Okay, yeah, what am I really asking? What is the answer I'm really trying to seek within this? So I'm just going to quickly answer these. Okay, so I've answered these questions. Yeah, include all property types, use the average sale prices, give me just a general overview, and then I want you to compare Burlington to Chittenden County and the rest of Vermont for context. And so, like that last one in particular is a really good example of it asking me a question that then made me think, oh, actually, this would be a useful data point as I'm gathering this information. So initially, I was just like, let me just focus on Burlington. It was like, actually, it'd be nice to know how Burlington compared to maybe the rest of Chittenden County, and then maybe how Burlington compared to just the rest of Vermont overall. So then you let it do its thing, and it is going to start its process. This is going to be a much longer process than the 33 seconds on the last one. Typically, you're going anywhere for deep research. It depends on the topic, but I've had mine go anywhere from 5 minutes to like 30 minutes. And so the other thing I really like about this is that now I can just go do something else. And sometimes I'll do this like before I go to bed. I'm thinking about something and I'll punch it in and be like, okay, come up with this. And then I know in the morning it's going to be ready for me with this detailed report. But I can get this going and it's going to operate in the background. Doesn't matter if I close out all these windows, doesn't matter if I turn off my phone, if I'm on my app, it's going to keep working in the background for me. And then when I open it up next, it's going to have the report ready for me. So I'm going to go away, I'm going to come back, and we'll visit this when it's done. It has been 16 minutes and it completed searching 19 sources and pulling all this information. And so the first thing you'll notice is that it's a very different format. So it puts it into this report style format that you can download if you want to. You can export as a separate document, which is pretty cool. But already you can see there's a lot more detail in this than there was in this guy. And so I'm not going to like read through this whole thing, but it's pretty cool, right? And it tells you all of the sources that you can link directly to if you want to go check the source material and understand exactly where it's getting its information. But basically, if you compare these two, it's like it's taken each single one of these and it has done a deep dive into every single one, explaining in detail what happened and why that influences the question, which is home values in Burlington. So this is like another thing I find cool is here. It actually shows you the thought process of the AI. You can see how you can follow its train of thought to see how it arrived at getting the information that it got, which is not like terribly useful necessarily. I just find it kind of interesting to know, yeah, how is the AI working its way through this prompt that I gave it. I have used this in many different cases. The first time I actually used deep research was when we adopted our new puppy, Penny. I asked it to go and give me a detailed report on best practices for incorporating a 16-week-old puppy into a family with 4 little children and a 6-year-old dog. And then I used the information from that deep research, which is just like great foundational knowledge for me, and asked ChatGPT to put it into a training schedule and just overall daily schedule for me with that dog. That was an unbelievably life-changing moment for me in the use of AI. It totally streamlined that process, made it, I credit 100% to the use of ChatGPT, the smoothness with which the incorporation of Penny into our family unit um, was. That was a weird way to phrase that sentence, but super, super helpful. But in terms of business use, I have used it. Um, one of a recent report that I did was I had it go and give me a report on like financial planner um, vocabulary and like what are the things as it pertains to reverse mortgages that would be most useful for me to know to be able to speak the language of financial planners as they think about um, assets and equity so that I had sort of common language to be able to talk about how reverse mortgages work and how it can inform what they do and how they think about managing somebody's asset portfolio. Something that like I would have had to go like take a class on or something before this technology. And now I can just, with some thoughtful prompts, get all of this information. And then just like I was talking about, and in both cases for ChatGPT to hone it into something else. I've used deep research to give me a foundational knowledge that then I've honed into language for social media content or even, but super, super useful. I hope this is found and some of the like cool stuff that you've learned just by messing around with that feature. I'd love to hear about it. And yeah, that's what I got for now. Thanks so much. We'll talk soon.